So I want to get into this before we start. I Googled the best animal movies when I was trying to make my honorable mentions list for this episode.
Yeah.
And I found an IMDb page, 50 best movies featuring animals. Number 1, Babe. I get it. I kid you not. Number 2 on this list is Mouse Hunt.
Are you shitting me? No, wait, are you shitting me?
I am not shitting you.
Do not lie to me.
Number 2 on this list is Mouse Hunt. I'm going to send it to
drop the link.
you guys.
What did you Google? Oh my God.
It is an IMDb list, 50 best movies featuring animals. I am sending you guys the link right now. Isn't it insane?
Oh my God.
Our podcast has traction, guys. We've got some heavyweight on IMDb, apparently.
For this list made in 2010, our podcast was highly influential.
Hey.
Guys,
they don't need to know that.
Updated in 2016. So
holy this actually is blowing my mind. That made me so happy. Thank you so much for that.
You're so welcome.
We got justice.
All right. Hello and welcome. We're the Tough Gut Podcast. And this is episode 8.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm Matthew.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Jake.
And this is part 4 of our animal protagonist bracket, which means we're bringing it home. This is the finals. Ooh, boy, it's going to be a good one.
I'm so like nervous for no reason. There are no stakes, but there are so many stakes. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's been quite a journey. Like the 8 movies we picked, reckoning with films that don't have animals as protagonists. I mean, we've made it a long way. We've struggled, we've persevered.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly, guys, recording this one has felt way longer than Sequel Showdown for some reason, even though like we're on the same, for some reason, it's just way more like gruesome and grueling in a fun way. But like the Mouse Hunt conversation feels like it was years ago.
Yeah,
it does.
Maybe
that's true.
That's just life. With that, I'm stealing Jake's part and saying, hey, we'll be spoiling these movies we've already talked about several times. So be on the lookout for that if you're worried about getting these spoiled.
Is it because of how I performed on the last episode? How awful it was? Did you literally fire me in real time? I'm gonna fucking cry.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're bringing in a new host.
Now that Matthew has done the spoiler and gotten my job out of the way, I can say that we're doing honorable mentions. We reached out to you guys on social media and have a list of our own, and we want to talk about some honorable mentions that didn't make this list. And ooh boy, once we got into this and recording, we were like, haha, maybe we should have included some other movies on this list. So I think it'll be very fun.
These are movies that we could have picked for the bracket, but chose not to.
Just didn't feel right.
Based on the movies we did pick, I think the list of honorable mentions is pretty open. A lot of movies could be considered honorable mentions based on the criteria we set by the movies we did pick.
Matthew, do you want to start us off? Do you want to give us an honorable mention?
Sure. So I'll start off with the one that was probably closest to actually making one of my picks, and that was a Goofy movie.
Whoa! Wait, actually, that's an awesome pick. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought of it like very last minute.
Is that the one with Powerline and the like? If we listen to each other's hearts. Wow, so good.
Great
Alex
movie, great movie.
A cappella in college.
So long ago. Yeah, it's just one I thought of really late and was like, I don't know. And, it just would have been hard to like shift the bracket. So unfortunately didn't make it in, but still very fun movie.
It's a very fun movie. One that's like, it feels like an obvious one. And I literally didn't pick it for a reason is Ratatouille. I think it's my favorite Pixar movie, but there was only room for one rodent film, and it had to be Mouse Hunt. So sorry, Ratatouille, even though you are actually a fucking phenomenal film.
And sorry, Jake,
you're good.
Ratatouille might be showing up here in the future, if you know what I mean.
Ooh, a little hint.
Ooh.
A little hint at our next theme.
Hinting at.
Ooh.
Wait, does that movie fit the next theme?
Ooh, you'll never know.
One movie that I almost picked was Surf's Up. It's the penguin surfing movie with Shia LaBeouf. I unironically love this movie. We used to watch it in my middle school choir class whenever we had like days off, like after a concert or something. It's just a funny, good movie. It's made in the like documentary style, but it's all animated.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
It's really fun. It's a
I
good one.
unironically like have said like I feel it in my nuggets so much, especially after that, like immediately post that the Chicken Joe is so fucking good in that movie.
Wait,
An incredible
that's
character.
a reference?
Yeah, but yeah.
The years I've known you and you've said that, I mean, it's been a very long time since I've seen Surf's Up. I've just attributed that as like a Jake phrase.
I'm so glad. I'm sorry to spoil
Creatively
it for you, but
this is how I find out.
wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, I feel it in my nuggets is 100% from that movie.
I guess we've rolled all the way back around to me.
Our transitions are less smooth this time around.
Speaking of smooth nuggets, Matthew, go for it.
Speaking of smooth, soft, and just so friendly.
How are you going to bring this one home? How are you going to do it?
My next honorable mention is Hachiko Monogatari, which, for the unfamiliar, is the story of Hachiko. It's the original Japanese adaptation of the real story, not the one with, is that Richard Gere? I don't actually know. Literally, Hachi, A Dog's Tale, which is Richard Gere. Wow. Look at me.
Wait, really? You could have literally, you know that one meme where it's like two white dudes could say they're the chain smokers randomly and I believe you? It's the same with Richard Gere. If any old white dude came up to me and said they're Richard Gere, I would believe you 110%.
Yeah. Hachiko Monogatari is sort of the original Japanese adaptation of the real story. Very cute, very sad story of Hachiko, the Akita Inu that loyally returns day after day to the train station he always walked to with his owner after his owner had passed away.
Yeah.
And it is just such a pure-hearted story of a loyal, faithful companion to man in the form of dog. Very best of its kind.
On a similar wavelength, I almost picked The Cat Returns, Hayao Miyazaki. Like I almost fully pick The Cat Return. It's like the spinoff of whatever, and it's just such a fun random movie. I don't think a lot of people have seen it. It's definitely one of the lesser known of the Miyazakis. I guess we could have easily done My Neighbor Totoro as well,
which I also considered, but I decided Totoro wasn't quite an animal. You know.
But The Cat Returns is a very, very right. Is a very fun one.
Yeah. Nothing. I was going to make a dumb joke about Ponyo.
I hate the ending of Ponyo, but that's a hot take, I guess.
Speaking of fun and quirky spin-offs, I almost picked, or I didn't almost pick, but during the bracket realized I should have picked The Lion King 1.5. It is just a much more interesting, funny movie. That's such an interesting take on The Lion King. If you haven't seen...
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. It's a good 1.5. Like it also had a good DVD game attached to it. I remember being at.
I feel like I'm slowly learning that Jake loved those DVD games, the special feature games.
Yeah, I had no life and would just play the movies mean a lot to me. All right, I spent a lot of time. It's the same with so Over the Hedge. It's not one of my honorable mentions. I think it's definitely something people submitted, but. Remember how we talked about the speed run of that game? Like there's a GameCube game. People speed run it. It's a thing that you could actually do competitively.
I believe what originally brought this up when we've talked about it a while ago is I have very, very fond memories of playing the Over the Hedge game. It was PlayStation 2. This is the one that I played.
Oh, gotcha.
The game low-key slaps. And then finding out that there are people speed running it, I literally broke my childhood because I remember sitting there screaming at the TV for hours at a couple particular levels. And then watching someone blow by it in 8 seconds flat. I'm like, wow, 7-year-old me would be furious.
Wow. Speaking of screaming at the TV, when I was a little kid, this is completely tangential, has literally nothing to do with Animal Protagonist in the slightest. I used to play Karaoke Revolution on the Wii, and I was really bad at it. And when I didn't do well, I would be in the basement at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and I would just be swearing at the TV, shouting and screaming because I had failed a level in Karaoke Revolution.
He's literally looking off into the distance, guys. I know you can't see him, but he's literally actually pondering his whole life choices. Very fun.
Another movie that I really love that I haven't seen in many years, Chicken Little.
You on the Zach Braff train?
Yeah. Like
Most
the sky is falling. It's actually aliens. I think just such a fun movie. So many great characters.
like a really fun reimagining of the classic story to be like, oh yeah, no, in this one, like not only is this guy literally falling, but also like there's a reason for it.
Yeah, it was like it was right at the tail end of the like fractured fairy tale spike, like after Shrek. And I just think it's a really prime example of like a great fractured fairy tale.
You randomly saying that reminded me of, I don't know if he is a protagonist in it. The wolf is, I want to say, but you remember Hoodwinked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, Hoodwinked is funny.
I don't remember if it's a good movie, but
no, it's fantastic.
Remember it.
I genuinely,
Really? Does it hold up?
I have
you
fond
seen
memories.
it recently?
I know my credibility is shot, but
don't worry, this bracket's damaged your and my credibility significantly, Jake. I guess, and Alex is all three of us.
Well, I can at least say for Hoodwinked, it's like it's a funny, like interesting take. Like it's not just a basic story, you know.
It's satire. It's
like,
almost like what Shrek
lines.
was doing. Like if it went up against Shrek, I think it'd be a very interesting conversation talking about satire.
Keep that in mind, audience.
Just keep everything in mind, audience. Yeah, one more that I want to shout out just because like I was actually very mad that I didn't pick it. I used to have a DVD or a VCR of it was a double feature, and on one side was Ichabod Crane, which is like an old Disney property or whatever, and then on the other side was Pfeiffer Goes West. And I don't know if anyone remembers like the an American Tail Pfeiffer Goes West movies. I love them. Like I love them as a kid. So like they never fail to make me feel all the emotions. Talk about like immigration in the state. Like it's a amazing series, and I'm pretty sure that's the sequel too. I have just such fond memories. If anyone hasn't seen Pfeiffer Goes West, absolutely they should invest their time in it.
To throw out one last honorable mention before we switch to some from you folks out there in the audience. This one was a pretty last minute addition to my honorable mentions over top of ones I more heavily considered, but Kung Fu Panda. The first one.
Oh my God.
The second one's on my list too.
Just because I like literally didn't think of it until today, as I was like, what could I have put in the bracket? And I was like thinking of like some Dan Bluth movies, and I'm like, no. There's something else out there. And I just have super fond memories of it.
My dad unironically loves that movie. I would randomly catch him watching it in the late hours of the night, like alone. Like it's not like it's literally like he's like, what do I want to watch at like fucking 2 a.m. I catch him watching Kung Fu. Yeah, he fucking love all of the movies too. It's not even just the first one. Like he thinks all of them are like peak cinema. Like that is one of his all-time favorite movies.
They're all really good.
For sure. So yeah, let's get into some of your guys' honorable mentions. We asked you guys on social media at Tough Cut on Twitter and Instagram.
At
for
Tough
some
Cut
of you,
Pod.
Tough
Make
Cut
sure we're
Pod,
plugging it right. At Tough Cut Pod, baby.
And we asked it, and we're gonna read some. Some of them were really interesting. Some of them, you guys are like us, and we appreciate it. But yeah, ones that I thought were super interesting. Chicken Run. I love claymation. We're talking about like all that. Chicken Run was a very fun one that I heard of on this list. Also, like things like Homeward Bound and a Barnyard. That kind of like we didn't do cows, guys. Why didn't we do cow?
Barnyard is not a good movie. That's why.
Yeah, people fuck Barnyard. Didn't it get that spin-off TV show too?
Yeah, that's mostly why.
The spin-off TV show I actually really enjoyed watching.
Really? Wow. That's
Matthew
crazy.
Hates it, I guess.
Because it's just tainted my memory of the movie. I don't know. I think it was like one of the first times child me had to come to grips with a very obvious change in voice actors. And I was like, that's not how it's supposed to go.
That's so funny. Any others that stood out for you guys? Any honorable mentions?
One I want to call out, and we addressed this one on Twitter a little bit at Tough Cut Pod. But Dark Crystal, despite being a fantastic movie, proves you guys are no better at picking things with animal protagonists than we are. So, sit and think about that one a little bit, audience. You guys have some reflecting to do.
Right? I mean, hey, we can make the arguments, you never know. Someone also did Shrek 2 and all that. So, these are arguments that could be made. But also Shrek 2 was already included, guys. Come on now.
I mean, we can repeat movies, though. There are no laws against it.
Eventually.
It's not against the law.
Mouse Hunt will return. Mouse Hunt will return, everybody. Mouse Hunt will return.
Next bracket is Thor Verbinski.
Oh my God, I'd cry.
I'm pretty excited about one of these movies, and honestly, it's a little bit of a hint. The Bee Movie, Jerry Seinfeld, pretty funny.
Honestly, when I saw that, plucked from the maw of the listeners as an honorable mention for this one, I was like, oh man, the memes would have been they would have been very stale if we'd picked it, because that was a big meme like 4 years ago. But still, man, what a missed opportunity.
Hey, we're fun. We're fresh. You know, people enjoy our stuff. We could have made B movie hip again. God, I also hated the subtext of that. I hate everything.
This podcast gets 1% faster every time we bring up B movie.
Speaking of fast, guys, the best honorable mention was on this list, and that's the movie we hinted at in the episodes already. Sonic, guys.
Sonic the Hedgehog. That's right.
Unironically, I'll say it already. Snubbed at the Oscars this year. They haven't even announced it yet, but snubbed. Wait, who voiced was Jerry Seinfeld also in Ice Age?
Was he?
Who's the dude who plays the mammoth? Oh, Ray Romano. Why did I get those two mixed up? Ice Age was also an honorable mention you guys threw out. Is why I'm thinking of it. But yeah, I got Ray Romano
I liked Ice Age.
I think it's a good movie.
The first one's the one with the Ice Age baby.
Oh God, wait, that's right. Yeah.
And then the people never return in any of the sequels. Where'd the people go?
Skin Theory. They went down in the ocean.
The first movie, they're taking care of a human baby.
And they return him to his tribe, don't they? Isn't that like the whole point of the movie?
Did you watch the post-credits where the Sabretooth goes back and just eats them all?
Oh, yeah, that's fair. Happens off screen, though. Oh,
yeah.
Post-credits.
Yeah. You just hear a bunch of fucking screams and cries and bloody murder.
It wasn't until the Avengers that people got really used to staying for post-credits scenes. So, like, most people missed the one in Ice Age. That actually makes sense. You can find it on YouTube, though.
Oh, I was going to make a very poor taste joke. Woo!
Can't taste worse than those nomadic tribesmen because they don't have bathtubs or showers. Whoa!
Fuck them. Fuck
Dude, Land Before Time. Do dinosaurs count as animals?
No, but time does.
Are dinosaurs animals?
Is Land Before Time, was that Dan Bluth?
What the fuck's up with you? Dan Bluth is not going to come on the show. All right?
Isn't he?
Dan Bluth is no Gore Verbinski.
Also, isn't he dead?
Wait, is he dead? Oh God, I don't know. Is Dan Bluth?
Yeah, the dude died in not in 1937. That would be very wrong. I read his birthday. I'm an idiot. The man is still alive.
That's actually, all of that was fucking, oh, you bastard. Yeah, Dan Bluth.
Comedy gold.
Come on the show.
Honestly, the odds that I put a Dan Bluth movie on this show are 100%. Like I'm gonna make you guys understand that Dan Bluth hates children. It needs to be understood. More people need to get it. A man who like enjoys making movies for kids does not make movies with visceral violence.
That's so fucking funny. You blew my mind just now.
I'm not going to start. I was going to start talking about Titan AE, and I don't think anyone saw Titan AE.
I did.
Me.
I mean, I have seen Titan AE.
I'm not going to spoil Titan AE right this minute.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll get on the show.
Oh my God. I haven't thought about that movie in a long time.
Nobody has, but I'm going to make everyone understand that Dan Bluth hates kids.
All right.
Matt, you've been saying Dan Bluth this whole time. It's Don Bluth.
Oh.
Wow.
So let's start it all over. Honorable mentions, guys.
Spoiler warning for the movies. So basically, an honorable mention that I see on here, another one that people said was Aristocats, and that's a great movie. And it made me think of one of mine that I didn't mention, which was All Dogs Go to Heaven. And I raise you this question, guys.
Is a Don Bluth movie.
Yeah, which is a Don Bluth movie. Also, which is...
and the dog dies immediately. If I'm not mistaken, isn't he afraid of like going to hell?
Yeah.
And afraid of death in general. Yeah.
It's a very good movie.
Kids.
But I raise you this, guys, and then I'm ready to talk about Paddington and Fantastic Mr. Fox. If all dogs go to heaven, does that mean all cats stay in purgatory? All right, guys, that's my end at the Tough Cut. It's nice talking to you all.
Jumping into our finals matchup here, that is Paddington 2 versus Fantastic Mr. Fox. Both of them, obviously coming from opposite sides of the bracket, triumphing unanimously, making a sweet any percent speed run to the finals of the Tough Cut podcast. Both of them pulled it off fantastically, and now they're going head to head. Alex, do you want to, I was looking at you and my brain just said, go fuck yourself, my guy.
Go fuck yourself, my guy.
Jake, do you want to introduce Fantastic Mr. Fox?
I sure do. Guys, I'm so excited that this movie made it this far. Fantastic Mr. Fox was directed by Wes Anderson, 2009. It's, based on that child's book, Roald Dahl. And, he's going to be in a midlife crisis, and he's going to steal, and he's going to bring animals along with him. Who knows what could happen?
And comparatively, we've got Paddington 2, the oh-so-sweet Paddington Bear, Paddington living with the Baron family. He's become so accustomed to his life in London, and he's trying to buy the oh-so-perfect birthday present for Aunt Lucy, stolen dastardly Phoenix Buchanan, and he must get it back and stop the thief and return his name to the good graces of society.
Isn't it crazy how Paddington goes to jail and Fox doesn't? So,
this says a lot.
This says a lot about society and who's more clever.
And perhaps who's more manipulative.
And do we want to be manipulated into choosing Fantastic Mr. Fox as our winner just because he doesn't go to jail?
Maybe.
I'm still incredibly neutral on these movies, or neutral as in I have no idea which way I'm voting. I love both of these movies. I do have issues, which I'm excited to get into.
Ooh.
I rewatched both of these movies today, and I also watched for the first time the first Paddington today. I'm gonna go out there and I'll take back everything I lobbed at Paddington 2 last week, because those side characters on the street that you meet in this movie are not in the first movie, except for the Curry, Peter Capaldi. So they're introduced for the first time, and they're great. So I think that was my big issue with it, and it's off the list.
Cool. All right, we ready to vote?
I'm ready. No, what I will say, I do have an issue actually that I've realized in rewatching Fantastic Mr. Fox today. I've realized I don't like Fox. I don't like Mr. Fox. And I think part of it is his puppet to me hits the uncanny valley, because it always looks like it's smiling even when he's supposed to be sad or upset. I spent half the movie just staring at his face, kind of unhappy, and it took me out of it. And the other thing is that I just am annoyed by the character. And I think it's because he's such a fully fleshed out character. And when I've known people with his personality in real life, I hate, and I think
he said that with a growl, guys. I don't know if you heard him. I hate him.
That for me makes it really hard to like this character. But then at the same time, does that make him a better protagonist because he's so much like a real person? So that's kind of what I'm grappling with.
I can speak to at least the first point about the uncanny valley thing. It took me a little while when I was younger to get the whole when he smiles, the whole row of teeth thing. It just remains to say like this.
No. My issue is not when he does his whole row of teeth. It's when he's frowning or just straight on shots, his mouth is always curled up into a smile. And to me, it takes me out of it.
Yeah, I thought it was more like Foxy, Fox's mannerisms of he's a sly, whatever. Because I think the emotion, one of the biggest things that I really like in this movie are the use of tears, which are phenomenal. The way people tear up is so subtle and then so beautifully done in this film. Multiple characters do it. I don't know. It's just it really gets me almost more than watching real people cry in other movies. This really got me. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
I wanted to speak to more the second half of Alex's point regarding sort of the humanness and complexity of character of Mr. Fox, especially as it contrasts with Paddington, who to compare complex against simplistic or one-dimensional, I would not say that Paddington's necessarily a simplistic or one-dimensional character.
Yeah.
Simply that speaking to the like side of like knowing people or like the being able to see like actual people in the character, I think is a really interesting idea. Not so much that I like know people exactly like Mr. Fox or Paddington, but like I have met people that are like unendingly positive, and I have also met people that are sort of this aging cynicism. So I do think it's interesting how both of those do capture elements of real people. And I think that's credit to both of these films, and just like the quality of their character writing.
It's such a battle because like one comparison that I want to get into and that is really hard for me is that these are they're almost fundamentally different characters in how positive Paddington Brown is and how genuine and a force of genuine nature. But like also Foxy is genuine. It's just more like not more complicated, but more complicated and more
I mean, he is
damaged in a way, like more like willing to have flaw and willing to say, hey, something's negative, but that doesn't mean it has to be viewed as negative, sort of a deal. Whereas Paddington was like nothing's negative and like things are going to be okay because of the power of like happiness in a way. Because I feel like it's more like Fox is living with reality and Paddington's almost like, okay, I'm going to force reality to change from my positive will alone, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, I get that, and I agree with it. I just don't know if I would go as far to say to make a value judgment about which of those is necessarily better than the other.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is it's hard to compare the two because it's kind of comes down to what kind of character traits you like most in people and likes them. Because yeah, you're right. I know people like both of these characters.
Hey, friends of Jake, listen up. Listen for which way Jake votes. You'll know if he prefers you or someone else.
Who I prefer. Yeah. This is the type of person I prefer. If you're not this person, out of my life. This is it.
Does Jake prefer you personable, filled with palpable joy, or does he prefer you an aging cynic with complex sort of?
I wouldn't necessarily view Foxy as a cynic. I'd more view him as like in crisis. I don't know if he's fully a cynic, though.
I do think that there are like cynical traits to this Fox.
Yeah.
I guess I would agree with you to some extent that he is not a cynic. He doesn't necessarily have a cynical view of the world.
Because like, think of the end. Think of his end speech. He's like, these things like this apple is fake, but at least it's got stars on them. Like that's such a beautiful...
I don't think he's a cynic of the world. I think he has a cynical view of himself. Like, because I paused the movie hard on himself. This time.
Yeah.
Like I read the newspaper clippings, like what Jake brought up the first time we talked. They're like
dark,
they're dark, fun reads. You can tell it's like the writing of a man who it's so escapist. It's so fun. It's really dark and fun.
It never feels like it loses hope in a way. Like, and in a way, Paddington and him are similar. They never lose hope in like deep, dark places, but in very different ways. I don't know. I just really like that end line where it's like, these things are fake.
I don't think I don't think Mr. Fox is losing hope. I do think that, I guess in an interesting way to credit of sort of what you're saying is I do think both of them choose to recontextualize their environments to their sort of own perspective. Mr. Fox does that, the apple, but hey, it has stars on it. So, you're contextualizing that as a good thing, despite it being fake. The whole situation of them ending up trapped in the sewer. It's like, hey, this is an awful dank sewer, but like now we've got electricity and like we've made a home of it. So it's, choosing to sort of subvert those dark realities in a, I guess, surprisingly similar way to Paddington chooses to, for example, with how he, ends up in prison and like chooses to bend that his perspective.
I think it's worth saying, though, that like when Paddington is in prison, it gets better, but it's still prison. You can definitely see that he still wants to be out of prison. It's not like prison becomes his ideal home,
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to say that, situationally, while Paddington is always full of hope and love at life, it is at a point where he is breaking. He chooses to break out of prison instead of stay in prison and continue to make the best of his situation, I think it's fair to say that he in some way breaks from what we've seen him do in the past.
I think he in the beginning is more like he expects the best of other people too. Like he just expects everyone to act in like their best interests, and there's that like naivete that comes with that. And then he's like forced into it from like the whole like prison and like just circumstance, whatever. But then he goes right kind of back into it. Also, can I just say that Paddington climbed a pole? Oh, okay. Go for it.
I just want to add directly on the prison topic, though, is that I think you're also leaving out the portion which applies directly to the naivete, is that he was essentially tricked into it by his... like he cooperated in the escape because he thought that they were going to help clear his name and bring him back to the Brown family. He didn't
still expecting the best out of people. Yeah,
he was expecting them to act in his best interest as well, like that they were trying to be genuinely helpful.
Yeah, but I mean, it was also like instead of trying, like in some way he broke, because if he had stayed in prison, that is what a rule following good boy would do. And while, yes, he was tricked into like participating in the escape to like clear his name, he still, broke the rule that he wasn't going to do. He broke his one rule. He broke his one rule.
Can I just say that Paddington, when he first went to prison, it was all like big sad or whatever. Like he climbed a pole in his cell to get the moody nighttime rainy lighting for his monologue. And fun fact, that was improvised, guys. The range this protagonist had, this wizard bear has, that was all. There was no blocking for that scene. Paddington just decided to climb up that pole and get that good lighting for us. So that's credit to Paddington.
And more than anything, props to the filmmaker for the sort of camera crew for being able to adapt to that decision making on the fly.
Absolutely, yes. We
Not
have
every
to
camera operator is capable of that.
Thank you. Yeah, good DPs out there in the world. Good DPs.
Yeah, there really are.
Oh gosh, let's talk about how Wes Anderson these films are. Let's get into that. That
was going to be my next topic.
I'm so excited that these two
artistry and style.
Yeah. It's so exciting, and I kind of was hoping tentatively that these two would end up in the finals, or at least just end up being taught to versus each other, just because there's a clear, specific style. And like we've gone into before about Wes Anderson's style and the whimsy he brings and all that. But Paddington also is a fun and creative, and like with the jailhouse break and the colors and the random style choices, like the band randomly while he's like washing the windows, and then like the stuff where he's like going through the gears and all that, the pink of the jailhouse and those kind of shots. It's super creative, and it's super, it's reminiscent of a bunch of Wes Anderson's features before. One that stands out that I think I pointed out before is Grand Budapest Hotel. Saoirse Ronan's character in the bakery scenes are very reminiscent of Paddington 2 and all of their like baking scenes in the jail, because almost no one dares to copy a style as prevalent as Wes Anderson, right? You're not going to see a filmmaker attempt that and succeed in overt way. But this film does a pretty good job of like being Wes Anderson, but also like not at the same time. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts?
I agree with that for sure. It definitely, like the shot that stands out to me is the one where, and they do this in both Paddington movies, where they show like the bisection of the house and they cut to different rooms. And like how the kids are growing and like what the parents are doing as a way of like pushing you into it and like showing where everyone is. I think the movie does it really effectively, but at the same time, it makes it feel its own. It doesn't feel like suddenly out of place or anything like that. I think it's pretty well done.
Yeah, like I very much agree with both of you. And I think especially with Alex's piece on the sort of effectiveness but ownness of sort of King's approach to the style. Like I think it's Wes Anderson-esque, but still has its own sort of stylistic elements to it, more than it is just trying to be Wes Anderson,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it's very Wesk.
Nice.
Thank you.
Can we trademark that? Can we do that?
Copyright Wesk.
What Wesk, if we wrote this?
Sponsor us.
Remember when we all took a film class together? Why didn't we just do this? Why didn't we coin a new term? I'm sure our boy, shout out to Eric.
Yeah, he's good dude.
Even down to like the dialogue too. I mean, I prefer the dialogue, I think, in Fantastic Mr. Fox. It's just so fun. It's just so like, snappy and good. But Paddington really made me like take notice of it as well. There are a lot of good moments, like the trash can part where it's like, nothing to see here, officer, just a bin. And he's like, I'm quite good at being a bin.
I'm quite good at being a bin.
Like, yeah. Okay, that was hilarious. That was so good. Or even I know what gets ketchup stains out. wait, was it mustard? Like, and just
yeah,
like shit,
then he
like,
sprays mustard.
so fucking funny. So
and
good.
then while he's got his hands in it and he goes, oh, nope, I'm just rubbing it in.
Yeah, so good. But Fantastic Mr. Fox has like classic, like even the delivery, I think, of Fantastic Mr. Fox is so weird. Of like, the one thing that sticks out to me is George Clooney when he goes, 1, 2, 3. And when he's like counting off for like Ash to go away, like and Jason Schwartzman in the movie just like saying, you think I'm no good at anything. He gets a bandit hat. I didn't get a bandit hat. Who gets a bandit hat? It's so fucking like they are having so much fun with those the dialogue in the movie.
I think the dialogue in Fantastic Mr. Fox really stands out to me at the points where the characters are the most straightforward. Like you have so many good moments where they just say exactly how they're feeling because they are so well written that they're so in touch with their own emotions and thoughts, so they can like say exactly what's going through their head. Like a perfect way of summarizing exactly how they feel.
One thing that actually may inform my opinion a little bit, just thinking about it literally in real time as we talk, is how our protagonists talk to all the side characters and what their relationship is with all of them, not just with their story and who they are, but like how Paddington, talks to with Buchanan or with Sally or with the jail people versus how Foxy talks to people like Ash and Christopherson and Kylie and how different it is and how like specific, like you can tell the relationships and how different the relationship is with Foxy and like with and how those characters bounce off of. Because I think the mark of a good protagonist is also like it has to be your side characters as well and your antagonists. It has to be how well you can play off. Like you can basically put that protagonist in a room with other people and like see how they bounce off each other.
I think that's a good point. And I think what's interesting about that too is that the way that the characters interact with like their environments is so different, because for Foxy, it's very much him bending everyone else to his will. I think of the scene where he interrupts Bill Murray's character giving the toast when they're in the flint mine, right?
It's a great one.
Versus Paddington, I feel like, is this precious, adorable like unawareness of like he accidentally like shaves the guy's head, or I think of the scene in the first movie where he accidentally floods the bathroom and the bathtub slides down the stairs. Like it's so interesting to me the way that they affect their environment in such different ways. Speaking on how they communicate / the introduction of Phoenix Buchanan in Paddington 2, I think the way that Paddington in this unaware way just slaps Hugh Grant around, being like, I heard you do dog food commercials, in the most innocent, precious way. And then like Hugh Grant you can see the pain in his eyes. And then he like questions about
I just realized something. I can't believe we haven't. Guys, Michael Gambon is in both of these movies. Dumbledore is in both of these movies. Dumbledore is the Papa Bear of like and whatever in the beginning bridge scene, and he's also Bean in he's the antagonist in Fantastic Mr. Fox. So these movies are in the wizarding world together. It's Dumbledore. Holy guys, why didn't we think of this earlier? We did it. Wait, isn't that insane though? Michael Gambon, I can't believe he did this Fantastic Mr. Fox. That's a crazy.
Paddington is more specifically stacked from the perspective of British media, whereas like Fantastic Mr. Fox just has a very star-studded cast in general.
And that's probably just the power of Wes Anderson in general. If anyone, if Wes asked people to be in a project, they basically say yes.
I mean, I think the same thing applies to an adaptation of a Paddington work. Like
no, that's just from the wizarding world of Harry Potter.
All right.
They literally said from the producers of Harry Potter. No, but I think it's wild Michael Gambon is in both these movies, and we should talk about who uses Michael Gambon better. Both of them are pretty good.
Well, I would argue that Fantastic Mr. Fox uses Michael Gambon better because Michael Gambon is in the first minute of Paddington 2.
But I guess for those who have seen the first film, the emotional weight of that first minute is increased tenfold.
True.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It didn't hit me as hard as it did after watching it today.
Did you cry? I cried at the end of Paddington 2, but I also tear up at the end of or at the end of Fantastic Mr. Fox, and just other parts of Fantastic Mr. Fox. So
I cried several times during Paddington 2.
Yeah, I that's interesting to me, though, you saying you cry during Fantastic Mr. Fox, because that is just never an emotion that crosses my mind during
it's
a
like
film.
it's not as a response to sadness or as a response to like anything like that. It's a response to just something about accepting like yourself and trying to figure yourself out. And even other characters, not just Foxy, but like with Ash and Christopherson, it just, there's a lot of great moments with like father son relationships and mother like son relationships, especially with Ash, that like really get me. I think Foxy talks to Ash in such an interesting and fun way, and such a great arc in this movie, accusing him of being different and then like it being all right, and then the mother being like, it's okay to be different, everyone's different, especially your father. But it's just like a very, I think I also, if anything, looks beautiful. Like there's that scene where Felicity Fox is that backdrop of all the water. Like that scene just is so gorgeous. Like it just makes me so happy. So I don't know, but I'm also easily moved by film. Like a lot of movies just like really, really will get me. And it's not like full on crying. It's just like a real emotional. There are tears in my eyes. I feel something hardcore. I will say the music in both of these is pretty fun. I do love the music more in Fantastic Mr. Fox. I have a lot of it saved on my phone, but I was having a very fun time. Like score makes me very like happy in films, and Paddington 2, like as evidence of me like tearing up was attributed by the score. It's very fun. Whimsical, but man, oh man, when Canis Lupus starts playing, or Christopherson's theme, so good, guys. Or Bogus Bunsen Bean, one fat, one short, one lean. These horrible crooks are different than looks, they're not on us equally mean. Huh. And that's my story. I think maybe I'm ready to vote.
I think.
Oh, unless you have, wait, go for it.
I do want to throw out there another problem that I vaguely have with Fantastic Mr. Fox is that during the movie, I can never understand what the children are singing. Like, I know they show the words, but I just can't understand what they're saying. They don't enunciate.
These horrible crooks, all different than looks, they're nonetheless equally mean.
This episode's going to be 2 hours long, and an hour of it is going to be Jake singing that.
I would.
Bogus Bunsen Bean ASMR. Now featuring
I was one of the
host,
children,
Jake.
the cryptic children that got paid to sing that song over and over again. Have we all voted? Have we all written down?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tough one. I really like the matchup ended up being. We started off rocky, didn't we? But we found our way to a really good finale, I think. But I will say I'm going to go with Fantastic Mr. Fox as my vote.
I am voting for Paddington 2.
And as the last of us three, the twist of fate, but not so much a twist of fate. I am also voting for Paddington 2.
Oh, the little bear!
He takes that.
The little bear.
Yeah.
Wow. So what was the reasoning? What's up?
I think when it comes down to, because I think as a movie, I probably prefer Fantastic Mr. Fox more, which crazy that I voted the same way in the last bracket of I preferred the other movie, but I voted bracket based. This one, I think like my preference in movies are much closer. But I think as a protagonist, just sort of like the theming and message that Paddington kind of represents, we just need a little bit more of that in the world at the moment.
I can dig it.
I kind of feel the same way.
And I said, fuck it, guys. We should just go full.
So Jake's friends, if you are the sweet, charming. Oh, wait, I'm the sweet, charming friend.
It was
Jake.
a spite vote against you. It was fuck you, Alex.
Oh,
it was big.
No.
No, I mean, I think there's also just a very much connection and like kinness that I feel towards Fantastic Mr. Fox and just Foxy in general. I think just it's so hard to get such a fully realized character, just period. I think it's just such a strong movie in so many different categories, and the message of allowing yourself to not feel great all the time is something that's really beautiful to me and that I really like.
Yeah.
Not that totally I don't love overwhelming positivity as well, but just yeah.
I mean, if you hadn't picked Fantastic Mr. Fox, I would have pitched it myself. It's such a fantastic movie. That's how these things roll. One's got to win, and that's the unfortunate truth. With that, Are people curious about what our next bracket is?
I really hope they are. Have you picked up all the cues? The cues? Clues?
We've been hinting at the whole episode.
If you took every first letter of every 8th sentence of each of us in chronological order, we spelled out something very interesting.
We actually did hint this episode, hit this bracket many, many times throughout this whole episode, but Matt probably cut it out. So if you haven't heard the hints yet, it's because Matt is editing
fault,
this
guys,
one.
if you don't know the hints, it's all editing magic.
Look, those hints were just too obvious. I wanted the sort of esoteric, a little bit more difficult, a little bit more mind gamey hints, almost like it's a complicated ARG that you have to find the answer to.
So what if I said James Marsden? Oh, shit. Oh, no. Sorry.
Jake.
Oh, no. Oh, God. Well, that's the theme.
Jake. All right. Well, the cat's out of the bag now. The theme is Nicolas Cage movies.
That's right. We pitched our favorite Nicolas Cage movies. We want you to send us yours. But let's get into what movies are in this bracket, folks. My name is Alex, in case you haven't figured that out by now.
Thanks.
And I only have two this bracket. So I picked National Treasure and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I pitched Vampire's Kiss, Mandy, and Face Off. True Nicolas Cage performances. Fantastic cagey of the cagiest.
Honestly, I'm so excited for Alex hasn't seen. I'll say what my picks are. Sorry. I did Kick-Ass, Adaptation, and The Wicker Man. All great movies. The Bees. Alex hasn't seen like 5 of these movies.
I don't know what that is a reference to because I have only seen 3 of these movies. So this is going to be a very fun bracket for me.
He's going to lose his actual fucking shit.
But there's an episode coming out 2 weeks from now, I guess. If people want to start preparing for that, what should they be watching?
All right, folks. In our first episode of the Nicolas Cage bracket, we've got National Treasure going up against Kick-Ass, and Adaptation going up against Vampire's Kiss. So start your watching.
Right. What else do we say?
If you like what you heard today, if you enjoy our brackets, if you enjoy our content, follow us on social media. We said it earlier, at Tough Cut Pod, Twitter, Instagram. We post funny movie reviews on Letterboxd. Just check it out. We really appreciate you guys listening. We want to be able to spread the word. We want you to spread the word. Tell one friend or one enemy.
Or one lover. They don't have to be a friend or an enemy.
Or put a sign on a cat.
Oh, get a tattoo.
Ooh.
Get a tattoo.
If someone gets a tattoo of the Tough Cut logo and tweets it at us, I will unironically, I don't know, send you $20 on Venmo.
Okay, he'll actually do that. I can actually he 100% will do that, guys. So someone should make the bad decision of
might even jump to 50 if I'm feeling frisky that day.
Just give him some whiskey and he'll do it.
Depends on the size and location.
Yeah, exactly. If it's a face tattoo, you get nothing because hey, don't get our logo on your face.
That's a bad decision.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
Jake crossing something off his
advertising concept.
Amazing. Just force people to get tattoos on their forehead. That'd be awful. Oh my gosh.
Follow us on all your favorite podcatchers. Stay in touch. Interact with us. This conversation doesn't end with us. Hopefully.
Write us love letters. That's what we're asking for.
Please.
Our P.O. box will be released probably never. We don't have a P.O. box, but if we ever did, we'd love to read those letters.
That'd be really sweet. All right. Well, we'll catch you on the next one, I think.
Catch you on the flip side.